If you want to import a timeline from another application, DaVinci Resolve has really robust support for importing EDLs, XML files from a variety of applications, and AAF files. So this is primarily for folks doing color correction that need to bring projects over from other applications. But this also means that you as an editor can move a cut out of one application and move it into DaVinci Resolve, or you can move it out of DaVinci Resolve and into another application. So this is just a plain, ordinary view of how DaVinci Resolve works. By means of explanation, the media page is where you import clips. The edit page is where you import timelines via project file formats of different kinds. In the edit page, if I go up to File, Import AAF, EDL, or XML, I select that. Now I can go to wherever I happen to have a project file to import. I click Open to import that project file. And I have several options. The defaults will probably be just fine. But you'll notice down here that mixed frame rate format pop-up I mentioned. Here it is, and as you can see, I'm importing a Final Cut Pro 7 XML file, so Resolve is choosing Final Cut 7 as the mixed frame format option. So I'm being shown the source file. If there were multiple timelines in that source file, I could choose which one I want to import here. You can only import one at a time. I can change the timeline name if I want. So I'm just going to remove that last bit. I can also change the timeline start time code. Now this defaults to whatever that XML or AAF or EDL file has been set up to. So I can override that here if I wanted. Automatically set project settings. I'm going to leave that checked because that's going to change the frame rate and the frame size and all the important characteristics of my project to match those of the imported timeline. And if I'm importing a format that has information about the file path of each piece of media used, I can go ahead and automatically import or relink those clips by leaving this checkbox turned on. If I want to override this and instead reconform the imported timeline to alternate media, for example, the camera original media where the files have a different file extension, I could turn this checkbox on. But I'm not going to in this case because I actually do want to relink automatically. I have the option of using sizing information or not. Now there is this grayed checkbox up above, link to source camera files. This is only for AAF files, and this allows you to use the source camera path that Media Composer maintains as part of its file management in order to automatically relink to the files that are considered by that project to be the source camera files. And then lastly, if I'm importing from Final Cut Pro 10, I have the option of using color information, although honestly it doesn't work that great and you're probably going to want to be doing your own grading anyway. You have an option for how you want to set the timeline resolution. The frame rate is fixed. Everything else is going to be fixed unless you're importing an EDL. In that case, most of these things are going to be made available to you, and it's up to you to manually set the timeline frame rate to match what you happen to know the EDL timeline frame rate is. In all other instances, this is simply derived from the XML or the AAF that you're importing. And when all your options have been correctly chosen, just click OK. And DaVinci Resolve automatically imports that timeline along with all of the media that it has access to. And if I press Shift-Z, I can see that all of my clips have been lined up here exactly the way they need to. The titles didn't exactly come in as I wanted them to, but that's okay. I'll just go ahead and change those later. So that's, in essence, the process of importing projects, and it works pretty much the same for AAFs, for EDLs, and XMLs. As I mentioned, you have a few more options or less options depending on the format. But everything gets dumped into the media pool, and at this point, if you want to do any further organization of your own, that's up to you. Having shown this, I am going to undo to clear out the media pool, and I'm going to save the empty state of this project, go back to reopen that DaVinci Resolve 12 editing project that we imported before. I'm going to open up this finished overview project, go up to Workspace, Layout, Reset UI Layout, open the media page, and at this point we're going to do a quick overview tour of the whole DaVinci Resolve UI, just to orient you as to which elements of functionality are found in what places.